Hmm. Hmm. Well, that game sucked. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another video with your boy Shifty. This one goes out to Niner fans near and far. Today we're going to be looking at a review of the 49ers and Colts game on Sunday Night Football. There's a lot to talk about. So the final score ended up being 30-18 in favor of the Indianapolis Colts in that torrential downpour. Pretty much total mess of a game, especially from the 49ers perspective. So in like the thumbnail and in like the title of my video, you'll see that the Niners, and it's kind of sums up how the season's been really hot or really cold. In this game, they started out great. And then they had like one or two drives throughout the game that were really solid, really good. But the vast majority of the game, they just didn't make it happen, you know. So fair play to the Colts; they definitely deserved to win. And Jimmy G looked about as bad as I've ever seen him look, which is not good and doesn't bode well for the season. So, with the game, it started out really great. You know, the Colts kick off to the Niners. We just march down. We score a touchdown. Unfortunately, Joey Sly Guy missed the extra point. But hey, we were up 6-0. Offense is rolling. We're doing a whole bunch of misdirection. Colts defense seemingly doesn't have an answer for it. Things basically get even better from there because on the Colts, I believe it was their first offensive play of the game, that Josh Norman goes in, punches out the football from Jonathan Taylor, we get a fumble, and then we're in great field position. From there, the offense kind of sputters out a little bit, but hey, we get a field goal. We're up 9-0. Things are looking pretty solid. I believe it was the next drive for the Colts, though, is when things start to kind of get away from us just a little bit. So we're up 9-0. First down, play really well. Second down, and this is kind of the story of the whole game. The defense played really well on first and second down. It was just third down, which was like infuriating. So, but I believe it was perhaps the next drive when we had the 3rd and 11, I believe, and then Wentz just bombs it down the field to Michael Pittman Jr. He catches it. It was maybe like a 50-ish yard gain. Also on that play, Josh Norman was called for pass interference, but the Colts declined it because Pittman came up with the catch. And then the Colts then scored a really easy touchdown. I believe it was to Mo Alley-Cox, and he was one of the guys I'd mentioned in the preview who we got to watch out for in the red zone. The RPOs and the fake handoffs, they fooled me all game long. And they got the defense really bad, especially on that first touchdown play to Mo Alley-Cox. From there, the offense really stagnated for almost the rest of the game. We put up 3 more points, which I believe was Joey Sly's 56-yard field goal, which is great. To kick that in that weather is insane. So good job by him. But beyond that, we had one other drive in the entire game that actually netted points, and that was 3 plays, 70 yards. Jimmy hits Deebo, Jimmy hits Werner, and then Jimmy hits Deebo for the touchdown. We didn't get the 2-point conversion, but other than that, the offense was not looking good. I think Jimmy was missing some pretty easy passes, and the weather permitting. But hey, look, we're in the NFL here. Jimmy's a veteran. We've played in games like this, just like at Washington in 2019. So it's not like we're completely, foreign to this type of game. But it just, the offense just wasn't there. We went away from misdirection plays, which is something that Colts star linebacker Darius Leonard pointed out. He was like, hey, the first drive, they did a whole bunch of misdirection. We didn't have any answers for it. And we are really glad that the offense went away from that. So not really sure why Shanahan decided to go away from that, but, it is what it is. And, the results kind of speak for themselves that, we really weren't able to do much of anything the rest of the game. So really frustrating. To talk about the offense, Deebo had like a couple of nice plays on that touchdown drive, but other than that, he had a big fumble, which gave the Colts a ton of momentum. And then he had a big kind of dropped catch, which, the ball kind of flipped up, and Xavier Rhodes ended up picking it off. So two crucial plays that really cost us big. Elijah Mitchell was the star of the night. I really don't know why we didn't, again, keep up with those misdirection run plays. The Colts couldn't stop it. Mitchell played great. I do want to give a shout out to rookie tackle Jalen Moore. He looked really, really solid at left tackle, filling in for Trent Williams. And then, so beyond that, outside of those two guys on offense, the offensive line was okay. Not great, but solid enough to should have gotten us the win. I just wasn't crazy about the play calling at all. Also, we really missed a guy like George Kittle. Like, George Kittle would have been perfect for this game. His blocking is obviously insane. And just his ability to, because the Niners weren't taking many shots down the field. George Kittle's the guy. He's like one of like the Yak brothers where he can, get the ball in his hands. He breaks a tackle or two and bam, he's off to the races. So, really unfortunate the offense. It looked really, really bad, and it seemed like in the post-game press conference that Shanahan was like, no, he was taking ownership of it, which is good to see. Now I think we're going to see what Shanahan has to offer next week against Chicago, because that game is the season. So we'll see what Shanahan, and it looks like Jimmy G is going to start. I think he's going to be on a pretty short leash, though, so we'll see how that goes. But back to the Colts game for the defense. Positives and negatives. Positives, we forced a couple of turnovers. So we had Josh Norman forced the fumble. He almost had a couple of interceptions. Emmanuel Mosley almost had an interception too. Then we also had what was the interception from Azeez Al-Shaair, which is a great play. Bosa chases down Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz goes to I think he was going to flip it, but then maybe it was Contavious Street kind of hit his hand, so the ball just kind of squirted out, and then Al-Shaair was right there, and that was in our red zone too, so that was a huge play, awesome to see. Beyond that, however, defense was really frustrating. We just continue to get battered by defensive pass interference calls, and it's just really frustrating that none of this is getting fixed. It seems like every single game there's about maybe two or three calls that will go for 40 yards against us, so we got to clean that up how they can, with the guys that they have. I don't know, but it's going to be pretty rough. So that really hurt us a bunch of times and the defense, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, we play really well. On first down we play really well, second down we play really well, but on third down, whatever it is, that's where Carson Wentz in the first quarter hit Michael Pittman for the big deep ball. That's where multiple of those defensive pass interference calls came from. I know at one point I think Wentz picked up 13 or 14 yards with his feet on third down to get a first down, which is just insane for that to happen. So really disappointing. The defense was really hot or cold too, and just didn't play well enough. Another quick thing that I want to point out is what has happened to Fred Warner? What has happened to him? All game long, he was getting fooled. I would see him dart into the backfield, but then the play would be going the other way. He's just somewhat fallen off a cliff. Now, I think his rating was pretty good, according to PFF, because, they love Fred Warner. And I think Warner's he's been okay, but look at what Darius Leonard, how he impacted the game versus what Fred Warner did. I think there was a conversation for a while. It's hey, who's the better young linebacker? And right now, Leonard is making Warner look like Leonard is number one easy. He's made so many impact plays. Warner will have a few solid plays here and there, stop guys at the line of scrimmage, blah, blah, blah. But Warner hasn't had those splash plays. Normally, Warner's a guy who forces fumbles, gets interceptions, but just not happening. And I don't know if it's maybe trying to adjust to DeMeco Ryans' play calling, or maybe he's trying to do too much or whatever, but it's just not working. In the first game, Dre Greenlaw looked better than Warner, and then Al-Shaair has looked just as good, maybe as Warner. So hopefully Warner can turn it around. We do have a big game coming up against Chicago. It's basically the season, because the week after that, we go up against the Arizona Cardinals, who are just looking almost invincible. So if we lose at Chicago, and if we lose, I mean, that Arizona game is going to be tough. We could be looking at 2-6 real quick, and then season's basically over. So, but yeah, I have confidence that we can go in and go into Chicago. We play better on the road, but go into Chicago, get a result, get some momentum, and then you never know what can happen in a division game against Arizona, especially if we're playing with more confidence. So that's gonna about wrap it up for me today, folks. Appreciate you stopping by, and anyone who stopped by the stream. It was a whole lot of fun, even though the game wasn't the most fun game to watch as a 49er fan. But yeah, we'll have another video out on Friday previewing the Bears game. And at this point, all I can say is we'll catch you guys on the flip side.